Welcome to the World Narcolepsy Day Pronouncement broadcast on Facebook Live. We are here with some of the leading researchers and clinicians from around the world, along with some of the organizational leaders from around the world as well. We're really excited to welcome you to World Narcolepsy Day, the first ever! So I'm going to ask a few questions of each of the researchers and organization leaders. So we're going to start with Dr. Kirin Maski from Boston Children's Hospital. And so you primarily work with kids and teens.
Yes.
This is the inaugural World Narcolepsy Day. What have you seen as far as awareness and diagnosis? Is there long delays before people are being diagnosed as kids, or?
Yeah, I think for pediatric CNS hypersomnia conditions in general, which include narcolepsy and idiopathic hypersomnia, we're seeing delays of even up to 5 to 10 years, which is consistent with international averages. And so to address that, we've developed a pediatric screening tool with patients with idiopathic hypersomnia and narcolepsy to try to use those tools in communities, including schools and primary care offices, to address the delayed diagnosis.
Is that out yet in schools? And
we're currently validating it, so it's part of our research portfolio.
That's awesome. So hopefully people will be in school and they would be able to figure out if they might have a sleep disorder.
That's exactly right. I think the issue that we saw when we interviewed patients about why the diagnostic delay was that there's so many sleepy kids in schools because of delayed sleep durations or circadian problems or short sleep times, that it's hard to pick out who actually has a primary CNS hypersomnia condition.
Right.
So we interviewed people who are sleepy, and we interviewed people who have primary CNS hypersomnia conditions, and came up with a list of conditions that or symptoms that can tease that apart. And schools were very interested in working with us.
Oh, that's surprising and exciting.
Yeah, so we're working with Northeast New England school nurses to help kind of implement it into schools.
Very cool. So what makes you excited about being here at World Sleep? We're at World Sleep 2019. It's an international meeting for researchers and clinicians.
Yeah.
What makes you excited about being here?
I think it's just hearing about all of the narcolepsy and idiopathic hypersomnia research from all around the world, and everybody is here with the spirit of advancing the science here and improving patient care
around the world. Very cool. All right, well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. Who's next? Who's ready to be interviewed? All right. Okay. We have Rebecca King here from the Hypersomnia Foundation.
Hello, everybody around the world.
Rebecca, what made you get interested in being part of this field?
I found online information about a conference by the Hypersomnia Foundation that was held in Baltimore. I had just found a medication that finally worked for me, and I said, I think I can actually drive that hour and a half to Baltimore from my house and make it to this event, where probably a couple of months before that I probably would not have been able to.
Yeah. Had you met anyone else before you found that?
I'd never met anybody else before I went to the conference. But it was very eye-opening and tons of information.
Yeah.
And we now have hold conferences in multiple locations around the United States. We are going to Chicago in October.
Very cool. If you're in the Chicago area, go to the Hypersomnia Foundation event.
That's right.
I went to one in Seattle this past June, and it was incredible. So they host great events. So what makes you excited about the future of awareness and the importance of raising awareness about IH and narcolepsy?
Well, for IH, it's really a top priority of the Hypersomnia Foundation. It is one of the major items that we spend most of our time doing. We have tried to go to all the different types of people that would be around a person with hypersomnia, including the counselors and nurses at school and doctors, to raise awareness so that those individuals can be recognized.
You guys have gone to a lot of conferences, right?
We've gone to a lot of conferences.
They're speaking to all the healthcare professionals on the,
Yes, including their students, people in residency, and people in practice. In fact, this upcoming week, there is a conference of primary care physicians in Philadelphia.
Primary care.
We're represented there. Those are guys in the first line of defense, or the first ones that could potentially recognize an individual coming in and saying, Doc, I really sleep way too much.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for being here, Rebecca.
Thank you.
All right. Dr. Duvalier.
It's me.
So maybe we should just step closer so we're
Just a
louder?
little louder, yeah.
Okay, all right. So tell us, you're here at World Sleep. What makes you excited about the future of narcolepsy research?
I think we did a lot in the last decade with our vaccine activity related to narcolepsy with cataplexy, but I think there is still a lot of things to be known on narcolepsy type 2, so
Yeah.
without cataplexy, and the borderland with idiopathic hypersomnia,
Right.
with the pathophysiology completely unclear.
Yeah.
So in terms of research purposes, I think we need to go in this direction to understand more the disease. And the
I
second
think that's
step,
really new too, because I don't think even 5 years ago people were as concentrated on working on the type 2 narcolepsy and the idiopathic hypersomnia quite as much, right?
correct.
Yeah, so that's
Correct.
exciting. That's really
I
new.
think, I think it's new in the field to understand that patient with no narcolepsy can have a very sleepy problem, and we need to understand the reason why to give new treatment in the next few years to improve them in terms of the quality of life. And the key issue is that there is a long delay to diagnose patients with narcolepsy, because unfortunately just 1/3 of the patients are diagnosed correctly with 10 years to be diagnosed. And this is for narcolepsy with cataplexy, and the problem is even worse for idiopathic hypersomnia and narcolepsy type 2. So
Wow.
the criteria are not very good,
Right.
especially in kids, but also in adults. So long delay to be diagnosed, this is a
And that's the
critical
same
point.
in France?
It's a worldwide problem, I believe. So we work hard to solve this issue, but we are still far from to reach a point.
Right. Well, thank you for all your research, and I just feel like, you know, if you ever receive papers on narcolepsy, often Yves Valier's name somewhere in there, and really advancing the field for everyone around the world. So, both, and you're a clinician too, right? So you're
I'm
both
first clinician.
First clinician,
First.
second researcher.
I try to.
Wow. Okay, I thought I did a lot. That's incredible. So, what makes you excited about being at World Sleep?
So I think it's nice to share some ideas, all experts in the field, to make things available, and also to increase the media awareness of this disorder, because again there is a lot of patients who are undiagnosed and long delay to be diagnosed. So you are here with your sleep project and Wake Up Narcolepsy, and we need to increase the knowledge of this sleepiness problem, whatsoever the name we will call type 1, type 2 IH, to
Right.
understand more the problem and to help the patient to be cured, or at least to be improved.
Awesome. Thank you for being here with us.
Bye-bye.
Good luck with your talk this morning.
Thanks. I have two.
2 talks this morning. Right.
Bye-bye.
Overachiever. Who was next? Yes? All right, so we had Dr. Devalier from France, and now we got another special guest from all the way from Italy, Dr. Plazzi. Is that correct? Did I say it correct? Plazzi.
Plazzi, perfetto.
Plazzi. Ciao.
Ciao.
Buongiorno. Is that
Buongiorno.
correct? Oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible.
Buongiorno, perfect.
Yes, all right. And you are based in Bologna,
Yes,
correct?
exactly.
Which I've got to visit a few years ago and spend time with the Italian narcolepsy community.
25th year of the foundation of the...
The 25th anniversary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was incredible. It was really wonderful to be with the Italian community. I know that they are celebrating World Narcolepsy Day
Yes,
in
they
Italy.
do, in Rome.
In Rome. Oh, why are we all in Rome? Well, Vancouver's cool too, but.
Yeah, everyone to Rome.
Yeah.
But, well, they are in Rome.
So what are they doing?
They are doing a soccer player, I think.
Volleyball?
So, volleyball,
Volleyball?
sorry.
Yeah, yeah. A volleyball tournament?
Yeah, tournament, and they also will talk with the doctors, the specialists,
Very cool.
about narcolepsy development also, because patients in Italy help a lot the centers and also research. They are very much involved also from the financial point of view, so they help research,
That's awesome.
and they will talk about.
Yeah. So then, for you to be here, what are you excited about this meeting?
This meeting here in Vancouver,
Yeah.
or the meeting in Italy?
You came all the way here.
Let me talk
Yeah.
also a little bit more about Italy, because
Yeah.
Italy has some very interesting project in narcolepsy. We have now the Italian registry for narcolepsy.
Oh, wow.
That will be a very innovative registry for children, for adults, but also a registry could allow to do the certificate for driving license, for example. So it's a very new registry, new kind of registry. And also we have mainly a project on telemedicine for
Telemedicine? Oh, wow.
for the diagnosis, for the screening, I mean, because we have very few centers for the diagnosis of narcolepsy in Italy, and people come from Sicily to Bologna, for example, but before they can do a visit, an interview by video.
With you?
Video.
So you're going to be on the video?
Yeah.
So
You'll be
getting
on the
used
video,
to this
you
whole
see the patient,
video.
you
Yeah.
give to the patient also the possibility to do some questionnaires.
Right.
So you will know more about the patient before having it at the hospital.
Yeah.
And also the project on telemedicine is very interesting also for the follow-up of the patients, because for pediatrics, for example, the families has to come to Bologna, so losing a lot of days and doing a lot of street to come to Bologna, so it will be an opportunity to have a cheaper way and also a more closer, probably, way to follow up the patients.
Yeah, because I think even a lot of patients, we connect a lot on video meetings now too, so
In
it's
between
wonderful to-
patients, but for doctors it's not so easy because there are a lot of also ethical problems.
Yeah.
So we overtook these problems, and now we have a project that is founded by the Minister of Health
Yeah.
on telemedicine for narcolepsy.
And when I was in Italy, one of my favorite things was learning about your awareness campaign that had started a few years ago. That was with
Yeah.
the, I'm going to say,
The cartoon
The
is
cartoon,
called
yeah.
Lupo Alberto.
Yeah.
It's a very popular cartoon in Italy, and we started with this. The patient started with this project many years ago, more than 20 years ago.
wow.
And it had a huge response in terms of patient who was not aware of having narcolepsy and who came also after 20, 30 years from the start of the disease for the
Wow.
diagnosis.
Because it was a cartoon already, right? And then they just did some about narcolepsy? Is that, no.
Only
it was,
narcolepsy.
It was only narcolepsy, but it was a cartoonist who was very popular,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, the cartoonist and also the Lupo Alberto.
Yeah. The character.
The character
Okay.
is very, very popular.
That's popular, but then they did a narcolepsy series, sort of.
No, but he's
Yeah.
drowsy. He's drowsy. He is drowsy.
He's dozy.
He's a drowsy wolf.
Dozy wolf.
So
Cool.
it's known to be a drowsy wolf.
That's so cool. Well, I thought that was an amazing awareness project. Really exciting work about the registry and the telemedicine. So,
Registered telemedicine,
Yeah.
very too big project.
are you going to be talking about those things at this meeting, or?
No.
No.
But we will
We're getting
talk to
inside info.
at the European Narcolepsy Day
Okay.
next April.
Okay. Very cool. Well, I can't wait for an update, and here it goes. Thank you for being here, Dr. Plazzi.
Thank you to you.
All right. Who's next? Claire?
Yeah, why not?
We have Dr. Don Jacor, is that correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Is here from the Netherlands.
True.
And introduce yourself.
I'm mainly a clinician, so I see a lot of patients with narcolepsy. In the Netherlands, we actually only have 3 specialized centers. So it's Zijn Heemstede, which is in the west of our small country. And I'm in Zijnswolle, which is in the eastern part, and in the south we have Kempenhagen. And so one of the major goals is raise awareness. Look, I raise awareness. No
Yay!
stripping. I wear the shirt today.
Thank you for wearing this shirt.
And I wore it yesterday to a major soccer league match, and I was on the big screens with the shirt dancing. So
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God, we gotta find that video.
3 times, yes,
It's
I
gonna
did.
go viral.
I did because I think raising awareness for narcolepsy is really an important thing. Because still in a small country, as we do, we have people walk around for years with without a diagnosis, with a complaint, which is a total pity. And also misdiagnoses are made a lot by people who heard about narcolepsy but don't take the effort to really neatly diagnose them, which is also very bad. So in addition, I do a bit of research and I really want to catch up with it, but you know, it's lack of time and sometimes money.
Yeah.
But I promised Katja Lammers, who's I think the biggest specialist on narcolepsy in the country, that I'm finalizing my project on energy expenditure, finally. So
Cool. So that's kind of always reminds me when I hear energy expenditure about the spoon theory. Are you familiar with that?
The what?
Spoon theory?
No, what is?
Oh, okay.
Is that about your spoons that
That's the
were
spoons.
stolen?
Yes. Okay, I posted last night on Instagram that my spoons have been like missing. All my spoons, please return them. And you sent me a message saying, stolen?
Yeah.
And you were worried about me losing. So spoons is a concept, kind of energy expenditure in the chronic disease community, as if we have less energy. It takes a spoon to do a task like driving. So if you drive, it takes a spoon. If you go to, if you do spreadsheets at work, something boring, it takes 2 spoons. You want to cook a meal, it takes a spoon. It's this kind of concept that you might have less
Energy.
less spoons than an average person.
Well, to be honest, in the project I did, it measures energy expenditure by really, really high-class methods. I didn't
not the spoons.
find any spoons different.
Really?
BMI matched controls.
Okay.
So I think, but of course I couldn't do that research, but I think it starts at the beginning. So when the narcolepsy symptoms start, people get sort of less energy and gain weight, but then they reach a new set point, and that's when they have the new set point, that's the level where you actually can enroll the patients, because that's when they're diagnosed and with the symptoms for a long time. So if you would do research on people who just got symptoms, you will find difference in BMI matched controls.
And what do you think of energy expenditure? That's like being able to exercise and do things like that, or?
No, it's like just your metabolism.
Oh, your metabolism.
Is like the same
Interesting.
in narcolepsy patients who have the symptoms for a long time and their matched controls. But I think if you are just close to the onset of your symptoms, you have a different energy expenditure, and that's why we see lots of overweight in narcolepsy.
Okay. So
But I still have to
different.
publish that, so.
All right. Okay. Don't tell anyone. Facebook Live. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's I think different than spoon theory is like the idea that maybe I don't want to go out to a club at night because I might have run out of spoons. It's not about like my metabolism and how much I'm burning.
No. It's more like, I think, maybe physical, like, and psychological and brain energy.
Yes. But if I do go to the club, I usually am like, that's worth it. But I don't have the same spoons the next day.
Yeah. And in addition, I promise you to translate your book. So
she's saying it on Facebook Live.
I think I'm gonna do it, but I guess I have to go to LA for a week, and we do it together.
I think that sounds really fun.
Sometimes it's just like the tiny details I just want to discuss with you. But like, what does it actually want to say here? And then I can translate it immediately. Yeah.
Wow. Well, we're gonna have a whole week. We'll have some Facebook
we'll do
Live.
that.
Yeah.
Promise to the narcolepsy patients in the Netherlands.
Okay, it's on Facebook Live. It's real.
Yes, it's real. Everything's real on Facebook, right?
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Claire.
You're welcome.
Who's next? Anyone want to come on Facebook Live with me? Yes. All right. I have Dr. Lynn Trotty here from Emory. I want to say right away Atlanta, but Emory University, and primarily in idiopathic hypersomnia, but all of the hypersomnias. I'm going to let her. She'll say it better.
Yes, so as I like to say, idiopathic hypersomnia and related disorders, because there are some similarities to all of these disorders. And I think that we learn more when we look at them all rather than trying to just understand one in isolation, so we can understand the differences and the similarities.
Yeah. And so, what are you most excited about as far as your research and the future? Because I feel like you've been doing a lot of really exciting work.
I'm really excited that we are currently enrolling for 2 clinical trials for people with idiopathic hypersomnia and narcolepsy type 2 at Emory. There's really feels like there's been this increasing momentum in research and in knowledge and in treatment options, and we so desperately need that. And this is just a really exciting time because of that momentum and all that we can see coming on the horizon.
Right. It feels really different. Like I think I've said this a few times, but like this doesn't feel like 5 years ago that people were kind of like almost like, oh yeah, and idiopathic hypersomnia, and we don't know what we're gonna do about that. So and now it's really coming to the forefront. It's such an important issue. So, and I think lots of that is very much due to Emory's leadership in that. There's lots. Yeah. Okay.
Which is partly what's so exciting. Is there's lots of people now looking at idiopathic hypersomnia.
That's good. I think you guys are still leaders. That's my opinion. So what about being here at this meeting? What makes you?
I'm really excited about this meeting for lots of reasons. One is I get to learn from my colleagues. There's a lot of great science that's going to be presented here. There's a lot of talks that cover idiopathic hypersomnia, and so I get to hear some other people talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see friends and collaborators, and I'm really hopeful that we could start some new collaborations. There's so many people doing good work. If we can harness that to work together, I think we can speed up the pace of knowledge and advances even faster.
Yeah. I feel like as far as awareness too, some of the really interesting research I've seen you present on in this past year, I think. I'm not a scientist, so I'm going to get it wrong, but something about the language that people use around how they describe sleepiness. Is that kind of correct? Is that ring a bell? Okay.
That's fair enough. So I think, it's hard enough to measure sleepiness.
Yeah.
It sounds like that would be easy, right? Like if you're sleepy or you're not sleepy. But it's a complicated construct.
is,
And
very much so.
we can measure sort of lots of different pieces of it. But then separate from that, lots of people who are sleepy because of narcolepsy or idiopathic hypersomnia are also fatigued, which is this whole other problem. And if we only focus on sleepiness, we're going to miss some of the symptoms that are really important for us to identify and treat if we want to really get people as much improvement as we can.
Okay, so it was a little bit more exploring those ideas of the fatigue. Very cool and very, very important. Whereas language, because I think we don't always think about the language that we're using too. So, and I think there are. So that's just more of like a general lack of energy as opposed to like a sleepiness coming on really quickly, or
Yeah, like sleepiness means like you need to sleep. Like
Okay.
you'll either fall asleep or you'll sleep too long, but like there's too much
Okay.
sleep. Whereas
Okay.
fatigue is exactly as you say. It's like this lack of energy. It's a weariness, but it's not necessarily, you're not going to go fall asleep because of it.
Yeah.
And you could see how you might have both, but they can also both really impact right today, how much am I going to be able to get done? Can I do the things I want to do? Can I be with the people I want to be with? Or is the fatigue or the sleepiness going to keep me from doing that?
Well, I just can't stop smiling because it's like being with, that you get these kind of things and that you're passionate about it as a researcher is just incredible. So thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. Thank you guys again for joining us on the Facebook Live. We are we are continuing to interview leaders of organizations and researchers. Dr. Ortiz?
Sure.
I
was
see.
going to wait for Dr. Honig to come in
Okay.
as well. So yeah.
Okay, all right, we're going to wait on that. Anyone else ready to join? We have Matt O'Neill here from the UK who looks ready. Is hopefully not too jet lagged. Hello, Matt.
Hello.
You are the chairperson of Narcolepsy UK. Yes, he's also an amazing dog owner.
Amongst other things.
Yes, he has a beautiful dog named Jody, who is my British BFF. Yes, she is. She's the most cute dog I've ever
She's
seen.
my dog though.
She might want to come to LA and live with me. No?
It's
No?
never going to happen.
Okay, well, we can disagree.
Yeah.
Agree to disagree on
We
that.
disagree quite a lot.
What
agree.
what we
Disagree.
do agree on is the importance of narcolepsy awareness.
We do.
Probably.
We do.
Okay, good. And I just want to hear, I want to hear about the charter. I'm sorry, I'm a super fan of what the Narcolepsy UK has been doing recently in putting out a charter. So tell us a little bit about that.
So
Speak
this
up, please.
started about 2 years ago, probably about 2.5 years ago, when we decided that in order to secure funding, we needed to be able to prove how we were impacted by our narcolepsy. So we set about trying to create a charter, and it's basically a charter of our basic rights. So it's not very difficult. It's just based on a survey that we did of 451 people, which is, I think, the biggest probably that anyone's done, and the most kind of comprehensive survey around education, work, family life, carers, the way that people feel, the access to medicine, absolutely everything. And it's kind of why I'm here, because I've got a booth downstairs where I'm going to stick it up and showcase it for 3 whole days. So that's going to be a bit exhausting.
Tell us about the rights that people with narcolepsy have. And it's the most eloquent document. If you haven't seen it, you have to go see it and sign it. Some you can also sign on to say that you agree with this. Can you remember any of them by heart?
Yes. Yeah, we have the right to an education, and we have a right to be treated with respect like everybody else. So it's very basic stuff, but it's the stuff that you see when you're on Facebook every day that people don't actually get. So it's really powerful to be able to have something that people can actually either take into their school or their place of work, or carry around. We've got a little QR code for it that I'll put out later on, where people can download it and they can go and sign up for it, and then we can publish how many people we've got. So
I was trying to get hold of the EU Health Commission this morning to see if I could tweet him, so I am going to do that later.
Yay! There's so many uses for it, and honestly, for me, I think it's almost like mantras. Like there are things that I just need to hear. It's like basic things that yes, you have a right to an education. Yes, you have a right to work, but I just hearing official organizations say it is just super powerful.
Yeah,
So,
and everyone can use it free.
Yes.
It's not a problem.
Yes.
Just go to our site and download it and use it. It's not limited to in-country use. I don't think. I think it translates
very
quite
well.
So
Very well. Yes. So,
Excited.
anything else you're excited about being here? I know you're going to be spending a lot of time educating people about the charter.
yeah. No, I was excited yesterday about dressing up, but that's all over. I think.
Oh no, it's not over. We will have a photo booth
More
later
hats.
today. You'll see more photo boothing on our Facebook.
Are you stripping?
More hats and boas, I think.
More boas.
More boas.
I don't see a boa yesterday, and you were really shy about the photo booth of all people. I don't know if it's an English thing or
No, I just don't like. I prefer being off camera.
prefer being off camera.
Yeah.
But you're here this morning
I
because
am.
narcolepsy awareness is that important to you.
It is.
It is.
Yeah. Can I
That's
go
what it
now?
does to people. Yes, you can.
Excellent. Bye.
Not a natural.
All right. Dr. Rai, come on over. Thank you guys again for tuning in around the world for World Narcolepsy Day Pronouncement, here with Dr. David Rai, also from Emory
Yes.
in Atlanta. And I am just so thankful for, he has such a passion for this field and for patient care. I will say personally, when I think that someone said something that's maybe a little bit different, they have a theory, like they're not sure about their diagnosis or whatever, and they have something that maybe people don't want to hear. I don't know how to say this exactly. I feel like Dr. David Rai will at least entertain my ideas, or the ideas of patients. He listens. And so I just am always so thankful for.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Listening's important.
Listening is important. Yeah.
Exceptionally. But
Yeah. Yes. So share with us what you're currently working on or excited about.
Well, it's an exciting time. I think you touched on some of the issues, but I think we've had such progress in type 1 narcolepsy. I think we've heard from a bunch of people as sort of what's the next big challenge in terms of helping sort of identify other patient populations and maybe personalizing treatments a little more than we have up to this point, and developing treatments for something like IH that has nothing approved
Right.
by the FDA. So I think that's a big challenge. I think it may come from some unexpected places, like what we would refer to as phenocopies, disorders.
Phenocopies?
Yeah, disorders that are in another domain of neurology or psychiatry or medicine, but where the symptoms are so overlapping that because they have a whole other group of people in biology working on them, allows some leveraging opportunities.
Yeah. So do you meet with people from other disciplines?
Well, I'm a neurologist.
Yeah.
I think that's a good psychiatrist, but this is sort of within neurology. I think that the brain is a complex organ.
That's for sure.
We can all agree with that. And understanding its functional anatomy and chemistry unique to different disorders may shed some light on common symptoms across disorders. So the one that I think is that I'm mentioning that we've attended, and some of the IH board members have attended this past year, are patient meetings for what's a disease called myotonic dystrophy type 1.
Oh, wow.
And if you go back and read about this, there's a real emphasis on hypersomnia, and hypersomnolence is distinct from narcolepsy, but then later the term narcolepsy gets sort of added into the mix, and so on and so forth. But patients look very similar in terms of their complaints, and it's always been thought to be a muscle disease, but it affects brain and heart
Wow.
and other parts of the body.
Wow, I think that's so cool. I think I remember seeing some videos of interviews. I don't know if it was you interviewing other people, interviewing people that were attending this conference for a different disorder and asking them their perceptions of narcolepsy and idiopathic hypersomnia or hypersomnia.
Yeah, and they would come up to the booth and say, "Well, I've been told I have narcolepsy, right?" And with a muscle meeting.
Yeah.
So.
And then you figure out like kind of figuring out what do they think of that? What do they think that is? Right?
Right, but what's clear is it's incapacitating.
Wow.
Right, so I mean, there's a few other examples. I think Parkinson's disease is something that has been recognized for a while. But the myotonic dystrophy, I think, is most interesting because it's genetic and we know the biology, and there's a very large community that studies it. So these are people that we should be embracing and leveraging these opportunities.
Yeah. Now, as far as awareness, what is important to you about awareness? His eyes just lit up.
Oh, everything. Everything. I mean, at many levels, right? Being here, helping start a foundation, taught medical students this week,
Oh, good.
teaching clinics, teaching patients, right?
Yeah.
They have to be their own advocates, most of the time.
Right.
So giving them the tools and the language and the communicate vocabulary to be able to do that a little bit. And as you know, I always like to talk in metaphors or analogies as opposed to scientific words, right? So to help them.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for being here with us today.
Absolutely.
Yes, this is awesome.
Yep,
This
thanks.
is very special. We get to just talk to all these amazing people doing work around the world. Claire? Yes. All right, we have Claire Crisp here. I would say from Los Angeles,
Not anymore.
where I'm from, but recently relocated to Edinburgh. Is that
Well, Scotland.
Scotland?
Very close.
Yes.
St Andrews. in
Oh, St Andrews,
Scotland,
right,
so-
right.
Yep.
And from Wake Up Narcolepsy.
Yep.
And share with us what you're doing here, because of quite a bit.
Quite a bit, yes. Yesterday, Wake Up Narcolepsy held the first ever Sleep Expo. It's one of our education days. So that was a big event. It was a whole day, kind of like a one-day conference where we had researchers, clinicians, and we heard personal testimony as well from one of our board members. But what was really interesting about that for us was we had got CME accreditation, which meant we were able to bring researchers and clinicians into the room as the audience with patients. So it was really special to have that kind of dynamic. So that was yesterday. Today there's a lot of this. I'm doing an author event in a little while, I think, with just after you. And yes, some other sort of filming today, and then we go into World Sleep tomorrow as an organisation with a table and where we meet people in the industry. So
So I think what you just said was so important about the interaction of patients and the clinician and research community, and really creating that dialogue. You know, is something that I've seen really effective as well with your podcast. So Narcolepsy 360 is an amazing podcast, and you've hosted. Well, I almost know the statistics because I saw your slides earlier. But tell us who you've had on the podcast so far.
Well, we've had a real range, and I think that was one of the goals of the podcast series, was to give the sort of complete perspective, like a panoramic view of the whole condition. So we do bring in clinicians and researchers, but we want to hear from caregivers, people sort of within, you know, the community that have got inspiring stories or life hacks. So that's kind of the mission, and we actually have 20,000 listeners to that podcast.
Yay!
So
It's amazing.
it's been really fun. And we've just finished season 1, and we're going to take a break for a couple of months, try and rally some funding, and then hopefully relaunch in the new year.
That's awesome, and you are an amazing host.
Thank you.
This beautiful voice. So,
it's not very easy, actually.
Yeah,
but,
I imagine.
Yeah.
I imagine a little bit like hosting this.
Yes. You've got to make it look easy.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Right.
So anyway, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, it's a really cool project.
Thank you.
And so then for awareness, there's the podcast, which is reaching a lot of people. What else do you feel like Wake Up Narcolepsy is doing as far as awareness?
I think collaboration is really important. It's been great to support this, and we really do try and work with other agencies. So I think going forward, it's much, you know, we're stronger together. So we do partner with other agencies like Hypersomnia, yourself, and the education days that we're doing next year. They are obviously education, but it does raise a lot of awareness. So, and just pushing all of that kind of content out on social media is sort of super effective, super cheap, and we can really reach a lot of people. So the other thing to say about that is our 101 campaign, and just giving facts on social media, and they kind of go everywhere.
Those are being shared a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
So that's been fun too.
And then also Wake Up Narcolepsy has such a big passion for research.
Yes.
So you're really helping to advance the research field. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we run the Boston Marathon. We've actually got a couple of spaces left for next year. We try and get bibs for that each year. You've run it.
Yep. Many years
and
ago.
it's a real challenge actually, because we ask our runners to raise at least $10,000, and as an organisation we're committed to that 100% of that money, whatever they actually raise in the end, going to research. So we also do the Seattle Giving campaign, some mini fundraisers, and then we pile it all together and then we award it, usually between Stanford and Harvard, our beloved researchers, but we also like to do what we call the seed kind of grants from up and coming researchers, and then they can leverage that tiny little bit of money and apply for NIH grants.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of that.
So important. And I'm very passionate about making sure we have federal funding
Yes.
for
Yes.
narcolepsy research
It's a
through
good-
our advocacy
Yeah, we
program.
need all of it. Right?
Yeah, so it all kind of comes together in a really cool way.
Thank
so,
you.
All right, thanks,
All right,
thanks
thank
for
you
being
so
on our
much.
Facebook Live. Who's next? Mark, come on over.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you guys again for sticking with us. We're doing the World Narcolepsy Day pronouncement here at World Sleep in Vancouver, Canada. I'm here with Mark Patterson, MD, PhD,
That's right.
Dr. Patterson,
Yeah.
and tell us a little bit about Day for Naps.
Day for naps. I've been involved in narcolepsy for about 15 plus years since my daughter was diagnosed a long time ago. And I've done all kind of things. I'm a pediatrician, so I have the clinical view of things. As Julie mentioned, I was a PhD, so I was a biochemist before I became a physician. So I have the research background. And clearly I've been passionate about all things narcolepsy since that time. And so what Day for Naps does, it tries to act as a sort of digital platform, nonpartisan one, that promotes any events going on anywhere in the world. So the idea is to have it be a one-stop shopping for any sort of narcolepsy events. Also has links for all the international organizations.
Wonderful.
So the hope is that it'll be a place where people can go to and just sort of click on whatever information they want to know
Yeah.
and find out more about events everywhere.
So for you, backtracking now, back to the
Yeah.
beginning,
Yeah.
as a pediatrician who had a daughter that was ultimately diagnosed with narcolepsy,
Right.
what was that journey like as far as your knowledge of, were you aware of narcolepsy before she got it?
And that's the sad part, is that, even though it's a pediatric condition, most pediatricians know very little about narcolepsy. And even when we were caught up in it, because there's so many things that can affect kids or adolescents that would cause excessive sleepiness. And so we were going through the usual kind of steps going through things. They thought maybe it was epilepsy for a while because her EEG was off a little bit, and tried the anti-seizure medications, but that didn't work. So as soon as she had the sleep state, then it was real obvious it was. But in medical training, either medical school or residency, you get so little information. The thought is that you get like 2 hours worth of sleep training in the first place.
Right.
And so that's been...
If you're lucky, I think. 'Cause some schools it's just an hour, I've heard.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And narcolepsy is a little paragraph, a little page on things. And so one of my passions is to try and use my background and my connections to try and educate my peers about things too. So I've talked to the American Academy of Pediatrics and talked to them about things and try and just educate my peers, because if they don't think about narcolepsy as a diagnosis, they're not going to diagnose it.
Yeah. Very, very, very important. So, and then what are you excited about being here in Vancouver?
Well, I'm just excited for you for having put all this together, because I know
Thank
you've worked on this for a
you.
long time.
Yeah.
And it's been quite an effort to do that, and just have the chance to meet all these people. Because in my travels, I've met so many international folks. I used to do something called narcolepsy bed race, and so I took it to Ireland last year, and so I met a lot of international folks there. We went to Switzerland this past May. So it's nice to just reconnect with all these people that I've met over the years internationally, and just to share the ideas, because that's the important part of these meetings, is actually going to share information, ideas about things, and new advances all the time.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this.
Of course.
Good
of
job.
course. All right. You ready? Yeah. Come on up there. So, we have Evelyn Honig from Narcolepsy Network and Dr. Ortiz, is that correct? Okay, from Narcolepsy Network as well. And we're so happy to have you. I haven't seen you yet. I don't know how. I'm sorry. I've seen everyone else, but it's just great to see you guys here. And we're finally at World Narcolepsy Day. It's here. So share what you're excited about for being here.
Yeah, well,
first of all, thank you for organizing all this. And I think it's great that so many organizations already joined.
Yes, we have 20. That's a good. Thank you for mentioning that. Because I meant to mention earlier, 24 organizations from around the world co-hosting or establishing this day together, which is just incredible on 6 continents. So I guess we just don't have Antarctica. We got to find some penguins, I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah. Narcolepsy. What do we think?
Maybe narcolepsy.
Yeah.
We may have a model for research.
Right. Yes.
So so we're very excited about that. And I was in, as Mark Pearson was also in Europe, in Switzerland for the European Narcolepsy Day, and we talked about it, and everybody was excited. And it was kind of difficult to get the effort coordinated, but Julie did it. So,
long process.
Yes, so that was great.
Yeah.
And we're excited to be.
We're excited, excited to be part of World Narcolepsy Day. We're excited about trying to kind of create a critical mass. So if enough people are, announcing narcolepsy facts, raising awareness, it's better as a whole that we'll make a bigger noise, get bigger attention towards narcolepsy awareness, and that will help push things forward.
Yes. So you guys are both MDs, right?
Yes.
And you're practicing.
Yes.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about. Come over here too, I guess.
I'm sorry.
All right. Make sure you're in this. Okay. Tell us a little about yourself.
So
you're new to the board.
I'm new to the board.
Yep.
I've had narcolepsy since I was about 12 years old, but I was able to go through medical school with it, and now I'm a practicing sleep medicine doctor that takes care of children. And so basically I use a lot of my experiences growing up with narcolepsy, not being able to get diagnosed until I was 20, as to screen and diagnose my patients. It can be really tough to even diagnose a patient with narcolepsy as someone who has narcolepsy. It's like, do they have narcolepsy? Do they not have narcolepsy? And I feel that even when among sleep doctors, it's tough. And so my policy is to just be very let's do the test. Nothing's lost if it's not there, but it can be a life changer if you don't get diagnosed at the right age. And so education is a big component. We're always encouraging our members to speak out about this, and usually there's like a friend of a friend's child or friends of a friend's relative ends up figuring out that they have narcolepsy because we're trying to raise awareness. We're trying to convince our members to kind of spread their awareness, not only to their friends and family, but strangers, social media, because this is how people ultimately get diagnosed. It's so tough to get diagnosed with narcolepsy that people have to themselves have to be aware of the possibility.
Yeah, that's always so key, I think. I hear, like, just what you said, that people said, oh, well, my friend mentioned that they knew someone, or just that kind of word of mouth is really, really powerful. So, did you always know you were going to go into sleep medicine?
No, actually, so I was a pretty high achiever. I had gotten pre-admitted to medical school, so I always thought I was going to be a surgeon, but then the sleepiness, it was just too much to fight. And as I was going through my residency training, I became known as the sleep guy. You always knew about what the right test what test you need to order for any sleep disorder, because I was teaching myself to take care of myself, and that kind of bled into taking care of my patients. And so I was like, I really enjoy this. I really want to continue this as my job, and so that's where I am today.
It's incredible. And so it was over the past year you joined Wake Up Narcolepsy as an official board member. Sorry. It's a long morning.
Yeah.
Narcolepsy Network is an official board member. And
I'm also the research chair and conference chair. So we're having our annual conference next month in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Can't wait.
One of my goals is definitely to kind of delineate very good specific tracks for different age groups. Narcolepsy changes as we age. Sometimes children with narcolepsy, they may have just excessive sleepiness, sometimes they just have cataplexy, and that evolves. And parents and really the bigger issues with the parents, how to raise a child with narcolepsy, how to help their parents raise the best child possible. Whereas when you get into teenage and young adulthood is basically how do you advocate for yourself? How do you get that extra time at school? How do you be the best you possible? Then when you're an older adult, how do you raise kids? How do you live your life the best way? And then as you're an older adult, now we're kind of hitting new ground, because now we're having a lot more research, a lot more eyes researching narcolepsy. Now we have a larger, older population that We don't know how that's going to go. And basically, we really want to focus on quality of life measures, how to like, medications are going to help, but there's still other things that medications don't address that we really want to make sure that people are living their best lives possible despite having narcolepsy.
Yes. Well, that's amazing. Evelyn, what are you excited about as far as this fall? I mean, we're here, but also the conference.
Yeah, so we first of all, we're really happy and lucky that we have Louis on board, because I don't know how he's doing it with working and narcolepsy and all the things he does for us. But so yeah, it's wonderful. So I'm excited about the conference. Our conference is always connected with, or always the last couple of years, with the Youth Ambassador program. This year we have two great women. One joined, she's very excited. So on Friday they get to training, and that's a program for young kids, young people, 15 to 22. They get trained and then they go out into the world, in their own world. But if they're self-confident enough, they go to other places and talk about narcolepsy and teach. And so this is a great program.
Seems incredible.
It's growing, and yeah, we have more kids now than we had before.
Yeah.
So they do that Friday. Then we have the whole conference. We have some exciting new people, like Dr. Anwar, and he's
even some of the same people that had just talked earlier.
Yes, some of the same speakers we have, and they do new different topics.
Yeah.
And so we have, it's going to be an exciting. We have a lot of programs for young people, but as Louis mentioned, we don't want to forget the older folks. So we have the 60, 65 plus session for people who've had narcolepsy for many, many years. And so these people struggle with, my medications, how safe is it, other issues they're having. So this is going to be really by the wonderful Dr. Swicky is going to do this session.
Good.
And then with this conference here, with the World Sleep Conference, I'm usually go to typically American-centric sleep conferences, and it's kind of like you're retreading the same water with some of this. And so I'm really excited to go to some of these conferences, hear how it's done in other parts of the world, how narcolepsy is managed, what things have I not been introduced to, and so I think that'll help me be a better provider for my patients as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I shouldn't forget, we are running in the New York City Marathon. We have, after our conference, a really busy time. We have a one-day meeting in New York City, which is going to be called a seminar, one-day seminar with Dr. Thorpe will speak and some other really new, exciting speakers. And then the next day, if anyone's interested, that's a whole exciting weekend. The next day, we're running as a charity the New York City Marathon.
Wow.
And very hard to get in, but Keith Harper, our president, is a runner and is doing all this, and we have more people this year than we expected. Actually, some celebrities.
Wow.
And I
wonderful.
should mention we have a comedian at our conference, and I won't say whose sister she is, but her name is Jill Kimmel.
Cool.
So
and she's very funny.
she is. She's a great comedian herself. So she got her brother into comedy. So
Awesome. Very cool.
And then as to honor first inaugural World Narcolepsy Day, for anyone that's kind of straggling, trying to register for the Narcolepsy Network Conference, we're doing today a 22% off registration. So if you've always been interested in going to the conference, but you've kind of been waffling on whether or not you want to go, hopefully this might be the thing that pushes you to come join us.
And some really good food in Albuquerque is what I'm a little bit excited about.
It's like a different place, different world. So we're excited.
Yes, really excited. I started looking at some restaurants and got very hungry.
It's supposed to be great, and we're offering some of that great food.
Good. Oh, good. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited. I think for me, it's always been one of the best times of the year is going to the Narcolepsy Network conference. So that sense of connection and being with your people. We do a lot of it virtually online now as well because it's so important around the world, but also just being there physically.
And you'll be selling your books, and we always tell people about your books.
Thank you.
So new people will be excited.
I think really being able to meet other people with narcolepsy and kind of sharing experiences and see how they lived their lives, what worked, what didn't work, is like one of the education you get from the researchers and other people that we bring down for the conference is great, but that ability to share your stories with other people with narcolepsy who had similar experiences to you is what really is the best part of the conference.
Yes, yes, and I think for family members as well.
Yes.
It was huge for my dad and my stepmom to see other people with narcolepsy. It's like different when you hear your own child talk about it, but then seeing other people chat about it as well.
Absolutely.
So important. So yes, well, thank you
remember
for
Julie when she came for the very first time.
first time, 2008, the mini conference in Albany.
Yeah, right.
Many years ago. So yes, thank you for all your incredible work and for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us on here as well.
Of course. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So, Ferry, you ready? Come on over. Yes, we have Ferry here.
Hi.
Introduce yourself, sir.
I'm from PWN for WN.
What does that stand for? What does that stand for?
It's,
I know, but
people with narcolepsy for people with narcolepsy.
yeah.
So we try to keep our board members and our staff from the people out of our own community.
Yeah.
That's the
Jinx.
That's the basic idea.
Yes. That's awesome. And what are you excited to be here for?
Well, the most exciting thing here and this World Narcolepsy Day is that it's bringing all the organizations more together, because I think we need to combine our qualities to handle this whole process with doctors, with pharmacists, with pharmaceuticals, and there was still a lot to do.
Yes. How did you get interested in this area?
Because I got narcolepsy myself since about 22 years now.
22 years that you started symptoms, or that you were diagnosed?
That I started symptoms.
Symptoms. Okay. And how long for diagnosis?
I was lucky. It was about 6 months.
Wow, 6 months. And that was, where were you diagnosed? Here or?
No, in the Netherlands.
The Netherlands, okay. So that's really exciting. I mean, not exciting at all to get diagnosed with narcolepsy, sorry.
Well, it was kind of.
Yeah, but to find what was happening for you.
Yeah.
And then how did you become passionate about becoming an advocate?
I think because of Facebook.
Facebook. I was gonna say, you know, I think you've just done such an incredible job really rallying people and letting them know what's happening in the community, and also helping people with peer support as far as treatments. I think is really challenging.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that base of knowledge of other people, that's how I found some of what was happening for me in my experience, was going through in-person support groups. But if you don't have an in-person, you know, being online is so important. I remember not knowing what anxiety was until I met someone in a support group said, oh, you know that black cloud of negativity hanging over you, anxiety. And I was like, oh, that's what's been happening to me for a few years.
Yes, I think especially in the support groups, you start learning what parts of your life are actually part of the narcolepsy too.
Yeah.
There are certain secondary symptoms that you are not aware of, that they have something to do with your lack of sleep.
Yeah, I think that's so important, and that's that like ability also to just bounce ideas off of other people and see if they've had some of the similar experiences. So that's really, really powerful and important. And so then you're here for the whole. Are you here for the whole week?
No,
or?
no.
Just a
I
few days?
was here just for the Wake Up Narcolepsy Day and for this.
Yay! Well, thank you for being here and
You're
being
welcome.
part of this. So
Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course, my pleasure. All right, we have someone else. We have Dr. Todd Swick here. So excited to see you this morning. One of my favorite clinicians and researchers extraordinaire. Should I say yes, from Houston? Yes. Yes.
40 years of my life.
Incredible. And so, what makes you excited about World Narcolepsy Day?
The thing that I'm so thrilled about is that you are offering people with narcolepsy the chance to understand that they are not alone. 95% of the patients who I see in my practice say, I've never met anybody with narcolepsy. I feel like I had this strange illness that no one knows anything about, and certainly my friends don't know anything about. And I said, there are people and organizations that are there specifically to help you understand that you are not by yourself, that there are people out there supporting you, will give you the information that you need, and will guide you through this journey, because once you are diagnosed with narcolepsy, you start a journey. It's not the end of the line, it's the beginning of the line. What you're ending is the indecision, is the process of not knowing, which is far more detrimental, because once you know, you can put things into perspective, you can plan, and you can work with people who understand the disease, the drugs, the non-pharmacological interventions, and you can get a lifestyle plan to allow you to feel as good as you can while we wait drugs that'll be able to make you even better. And that's what our journey as a physician is, for me to give you the opportunity in research to find agents that will make you as normal as possible.
And it's actually something we haven't talked too much about in this broadcast this morning, is I think there's a lot of hope in the future, and that there are clinical trial opportunities,
Yes.
and new treatments that are going to, eventually, hopefully reach approval, available for narcolepsy and idiopathic hypersomnia. So you're obviously super involved in those, and so what gives you hope? It's exciting time. Tell us about how that feels.
For me, it's something I spent 25 years of my life preparing for. It's something that, for me to be given the opportunity to help in the development phase of agents to treat the root cause of narcolepsy, for me is an honor that I could never be more thankful for. But if people are interested, if they can go on clinicaltrials.gov, the new research protocol trials are on the website. And please look and see if any of them interest you. Without your participation in these trials, no one is going to get helped. So what you have to do as patients with narcolepsy, or idiopathic hypersomnia, or excessive hypersomnia from whatever reason, if that is a member of the type of patient that we're doing trials on, please look at that website, and if you're interested, there are ways to kind of hone down and find out who's doing the trial and where you go to sign up for them. Because that's going to be the way we're going to get this disease beat for everybody.
I think I'll be, hopefully, I'd like to be in a trial myself. So yeah, it's just I think what you said about waiting for 25 years for this is just a really, really exciting thing. And I think that's why I've only felt for 10 years, waiting for this momentum to really build like this. And now that it's here, it's just incredible. So I hope we can feel that inaugural World Narcolepsy Day, is just this moment kind of at the beginning of a journey that we're just going to see so much more exciting research and results and new treatments and improved lives coming along with treatments, but also just through the connection that you mentioned that's so important. You almost had me in tears just talking about making sure that people don't feel alone. It's just
the Chinese have a saying, we live in exciting times. Let's make it worthwhile for everybody.
I love that. I think that is probably going to be how we should end this broadcast, because that's just the most beautiful statement. So let's say it again, because I almost already forgot it. We live in exciting times.
We live in exciting times, so let's make it beneficial for everybody.
Beneficial for everybody. So with that, I think that we are going to go ahead and say thank you for joining us on the inaugural World Narcolepsy Day Pronouncement broadcast. It's just an incredible honor.
Thank you, Julie, for everything you've done.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. I love it. So yes, we will have more photos. Check out our photos. Check out the website. Hopefully this video will be shared across the different organizations. There's 24 organizations, 6 continents around the world. We don't have all of them represented here in person, but I know that they're out there and they're doing incredible things, videos, news interviews. So just check out the hashtag World Narcolepsy Day to be seeing what everyone else is up to. And we'll see you later. Bye from Vancouver, everyone. Thanks for watching.